So welcome back everyone to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. For today on the show, I mean, what can I say, right? We have the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the one and only, the legendary, the incredible Ella. Ella, how are you today?
I'm much better now that I've heard all that. Thank you.
There you go. I mean, what better way to have an incredible, super badass, yeah, let's say day, evening perhaps, and but also to start an incredible weekend that you be chatting with someone as badass as you. You know what I mean?
I feel lucky to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, before we start, I do want to thank those who are tuning in. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. But also, if you are either morning, afternoon, night, or like whatever you are, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy this episode. And without further more, let's jump in. Now, I want to start this whole conversation, by throwing out the first question, which is like, what drew you into acting in the first place? Like, was there a specific moment or experience perhaps that made you realize this is gonna be my passion now?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a little bit of a showboat, but I do remember a specific moment. I remember my mum taking me to see a school play. It was a Jack and the Beanstalk. And I remember one specific scene when I was sitting there, and I would have been like 6 years old. And I remember so vividly thinking, I'm going to do that. And ever since that moment, it was just never a question. I remember always taking mum and dad's video camera and filming myself, putting on little
Yeah.
performances. I've always said I feel really lucky that I've always known what I wanted to do, but really unlucky that it happened to be acting and not accounting or something
Right.
else.
That is an amazing start. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's difficult, right? To start in something that kind of makes you want to make it into a passion, right? Especially acting, music, like those type of like those arts specifically tend to sometimes, be like a little tough, especially, with the whole competition that you have out there.
Yeah, for sure. It's not easy, and it's so subjective, and there's a lot of luck involved. But I do believe the old adage that, if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life, and it certainly does feel like that.
Yeah,
So I feel
absolutely. And it takes time, right? But you're making it happen. So that's incredible.
yeah, and sometimes I've got to really sit back and take stock and remember that, wow, 10 years ago, if you told me I'd be doing all of this, I would be so stoked. But part of what we do is also the glass ceiling thing of,
Mm,
there's no end goal. You never finish. So, you're always pushing towards the next thing.
yeah, yeah. That is really cool. And focusing a little bit on your career, tell me, like, how do you approach in getting to the mindset, yeah, like to the mindset of a character? Do you have like a specific technique or what is your thing here, let's say?
I think it really depends on the character. There are some things that I tend to do for every role. I studied primarily under the Stella Adler technique, and through my studies there, I developed a kind of set of questions that I go through and ask myself about each character. It can be as simple as like, what's your favorite season, or what do
Mm,
they like to eat the most? Just building those like little things that only I ever know that make them a whole person to me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, but it's I also work with music a lot. I'll develop a playlist that I think might help me get into character.
Okay.
Um, some roles demand a lot more. I did a role in a film called Trees of Peace. It's a Netflix original film. And for that role, I was playing an alcoholic who struggled with, self-harm and mental health issues. And so I started going to AA, and I started wearing my prosthetic scars on me all the time. And
Mm,
I remember something I learned from someone in AA was to look in the mirror every day and say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And that became part of my process. And it's a very involved and emotional thing. Whereas if I'm doing a Christmas movie or a comedy, I might just focus on building my character and then just playing with it freely, not really,
mm.
sticking to any one set way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it is a process. I mean, it's more than just learning your lines and that's it, as some people might think, right?
It's way more than that. In fact, I would say that learning lines is probably the last thing I do. I sometimes I do it the day before I'm on set, because
Mm-hmm.
to me it's far less important than knowing how my character would deliver any given lines.
Yep, yep. And that is amazing. I mean, at least to me, I do appreciate that. Like whenever they are presenting a character, they are like really putting attention to like the small, like the to the small little details. You know what I mean? Like those type of things that made you realize, like, oh, like they actually went like really. They want to make it relatable as possible. And I think that is really cool whenever you are seeing a character that somehow you have like this connection, even though that you know it's fictional, but still you have like these emotions that are real into like at some point that whenever something happened to a character you love, you actually feel devastated, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, I think that's part of the beauty of good performances, right? Is all the little things, like even as we're sitting and talking to each other now, we're moving, feeling
Yeah.
people. There's all these little things that oftentimes are what build a character. It's just a constant itch on the nose or a way they touch their hair or whatever. It's those little things. And they're the things that are so fun to find, I think, when you're exploring a
Hmm.
character, finding little ticks and habits and I don't know. It's cool. I love the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you ever had like a role that made a significant impact on you? And if it did that ever affected you somehow?
The Trees of Peace, the Netflix film Trees of Peace definitely impacted me. It's a film about the genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda.
Hmm.
And I was cast in that film opposite a woman who is an actual survivor of the genocide, who has now become a very dear friend of mine. And I mean, it's impossible for something like that not to stay with you forever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was a story about women really coming together. And it was in a very emotional space. We had to go on a starvation diet for that film. So we lost a lot of weight. We were tired, we were sore, we were dirty. And it's going to stay with me forever because of the way we all held each other through that process. I feel like I look at female relationships and the power of the bond between women so
Hmm.
differently now after doing that film. And I also look at people who struggle with addiction and
Yeah.
mental health issues with a lot more empathy than I ever have before because I forced myself to look through that window, and it's admirable what they do to get through what they get through, truly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I bet. Wow. Yeah, that is yeah, that's amazing. You know, like the fact that you were able like to portray like to be in that situation, but you did that, you know, like in order to present something, you know, but still like my next question would be like how challenging was to keep up, yeah, like to keep up like a healthy mindset like during those situations, you know, knowing that you were kind of doing like a little bit starvation going on, things like that, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to switch off a little bit. I find it easy to switch off when the production's over. I don't find it easy to switch off when I come home at night. So
Yeah.
when I'm in the middle of the production and I come home at night, I was finding myself dreaming about being the character,
Mm.
about dreaming being in the location, and I just wasn't able to shake it off. And it's an interesting thing. I talk to people about this a lot that with acting, I'm not sure it's an entirely healthy profession because our brains know that what we're not doing, that what we're doing is not real, but our bodies don't.
Yeah.
And when you're screaming and you're crying and you're tired and all of these things, your body thinks of what you're going through is real trauma, and it does take time to shake it off. So I think good friendships and knowing how to take care of yourself and having your process to say goodbye to characters is all very important. For Trees of Peace, I used to carry around a photo of a brother who was very important to my character who had passed away. And I had like a bit of a ceremonial burning of that photograph at the end of the
Okay.
production. That was my way of letting her go. And it worked, it's little things like that.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing. And is there like a particular genre or type of character that you haven't portrayed yet, but you know, you will love that. I mean, you will love to explore that in the future.
I would really love to do English period. So
Okay.
yeah, I'd love to do something like that for
Mm.
sure. Something like even something like Peaky Blinders or,
Mm-hmm.
Outlander, The Crown. I would love, 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 love that.
Yeah, like those type of costumes, right?
Yeah, it'd be so fun. And I love there's something about the Brits and the like stiff upper lip acting, even when they have a lot of emotional turmoil, they keep a very straight face about it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a really interesting challenge as an actor.
Yeah, absolutely. That is really cool. Okay. Okay, I like that. And how you handle the pressure and expectations that come when you are about to present a character.
Ooh, um, it's an interesting one. I don't always handle it. No, I think I've got a pretty even keel, and I feel pretty capable and pretty aware that it's such a collaborative experience that I know the pressure's not just on me, and that it's me and the director and my co-stars and all of that, and we're going to work together. I think the expectations and the pressure I struggle with the most are the expectations I have on myself.
Yeah.
I always want to be doing my best, and sometimes I see the dailies at the end of the day and I'm not happy with what I did,
Mm,
but that's also just part of the growing and learning process. Each time I see something I did that I'm not a fan of, I do better next time. So
yeah.
it's I'm not sure I always manage the expectations well, but I certainly use them when I don't feel like I've met them, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's interesting that sometimes we tend to be like our biggest critic,
for sure.
right? And like
Yeah.
sometimes you will focus on things that at the end of the day, the one kind of quite scare. You know what I mean? Like those type of things.
Well, and this is the other thing, like what I've come to learn the more that I work is that everyone actually really wants you to succeed.
Yeah.
It's nobody's looking at you going, you better do great, or what,
Mm-hmm.
like they want you to succeed. And that's why you see actors being so well taken care of, because we're emotional little sensitive creatures and everyone wants to make sure we're okay so that we do a great job.
Yeah.
It's just ourselves that beats us up. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you let them take over, yeah, like, if you let them like take over you, it could really harm. I mean, it can really harm you, or to like start to make you feel like am I really doing this, or like do I should I continue, or like what if I do, like if you like those little thoughts actually like take control, it's worse, you know?
Well, it's a dangerous place for an actor to be in.
Totally.
Then you can't focus on anything and you do a bad job.
Totally. There you go. All right. And tell me, what do you enjoy the most about about the whole process of bringing a character to life?
I think the learning. I feel so lucky that I get to learn so much about different people and professions and ways of life that I would never really investigate otherwise.
Mm,
I get to play characters that mean I live a certain way for a period of time without paying the cost of actually having that life.
okay.
And so it has really changed my perspective as a human being. I look at people with a lot more empathy now. And I thirst for the knowledge. I love it. I feel very lucky that exploring and curiosity is kind of my job.
There you go. And you're making it happen and you're killing it. So
Thank you. Yeah.
that is cool. That's badass. Now we're discovering why you're super badass. That's good. That's good. I love it. And how you continue to challenge yourself as a person, but at the same time grow as an actor.
Oh, I mean, I feel like every single role and project comes with its own challenges and growths for sure. I mean, oof, as an actor, I think what I need to be careful of, and what a lot of actors need to be careful of, is if you feel like you have pretty good natural instinct as an actor, it can be hard not to get lazy and just
Hmm.
rely on that. So making sure you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit with every single role, and not just kind of taking the easy road out because you can saunter through it.
Yeah.
So constantly holding yourself to a higher standard, I guess. And as a person, particularly operating on set as a woman, it's been a really interesting process just learning the power of no, and a bit less being a bit less focused on people pleasing and just want everyone on set to kind of be happy and like you and all of that. It's been an interesting process to learn how to stand up for what I believe for my character
Yeah.
and for myself as an actor. So that's been a real learning process, and one that I'm enjoying getting better at, because it's an art form. Conflict is an art form, and there's a lot of it on a film set because there's a lot of creative minds kind of battling up against each other to create the best project. But you all have a common interest, and so it doesn't need to be bad conflict. It's good
Yeah.
conflict, and that's the challenge, really.
Okay. Okay. And let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. I have zero experience. None. So based on what you know and what you've been and what you've been through, like what do you think that it would be important for me to know before jumping into this career?
Oh, yeah, it's a big one. I mean, definitely I'd tell you the first place to start is to start creating a community around yourself of creative people
Okay.
and studying. But I also think that you need to be sure that you are so hungry for this that there's no other option, because this isn't just something that it's not just a job, it truly is a way of life. It's a complete lifestyle, and your world has to operate around it if you want to succeed. You know, it
Okay.
really has to be everything. And it once you are working as an actor, it really changes your whole way of life. There's a lot of travel, there's a lot of being away from people you care about, it's a lot of hours. um, but I think that the most important thing that I would say to someone is don't ever do it for the applause, do it for yourself. Because if you get out there into the world trying to deliver what you think everybody else wants, then it's not original, it's not authentic, it's going to be really hard to get anywhere. But you are the only you on the planet,
Yeah.
and that's your strength. So lean into that and tell stories from your heart, and be truthful to that, even if it means no's and shut doors. Sometimes you've got to know that your story has value.
There you go. Okay. I'll take it into. I'll tell you what. If I ever become an actor, and at some point I win something, which is gonna happen, I'm sure. I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
I can see it, man. I can see it in your future. Of
Yeah, I can make it happen. I think.
course you can.
There you go. There you go. But that's gonna happen. Trust me. I love it. Now, what has been the most important lesson that you have learned throughout your whole acting career?
Ooh, the most important lesson I have learned. Um, I think the most important lesson I've learned is that you have to keep your heart open to life,
Yeah.
because it's the best teacher you'll ever have when it comes to storytelling, truly. The heart is our instrument and our tool, and it needs to be looked after. You have to look after yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that happening. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, if what I'm trying to say here basically is that we can see sometimes like with actors, musicians too, but that they will, but specifically like an actor that sometimes they will go like super far, like they will go the extra super mile in order to present a character for us, and sometimes we can see like a change on them, and on their personality too, and yeah, I remember that when I saw this interview with who was. But my but, but what people were saying was that because he presented this character, he was still talking like the character. Even though that the project was over, time passed and everything, he was still speaking as the same way
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
character
yeah,
did.
yeah. Yeah, it was Austin Butler for Elvis.
There you go. That one
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he just had a vocal coach help him get rid of the accent,
Yeah, it's
apparently.
crazy, right? I was like, wow, like I mean, we the audience, we don't know about it, like we don't know about it, but I'm super sure that it was like super challenging for him to speak normally, but he was still speaking as a character, because he got used to that. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it is a little bit of it's a bit of a tricky brain job, you know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, you've got to come back to yourself. It's really important. But yeah, the heart again. The heart is the instrument. I think that's really like that's the key thing that I would take away
Mm,
from everything I know, is that you've really got to look after that thing, because that's the job.
absolutely. Absolutely. And tell me, like, what do you think it's the biggest misconception that people have about actors?
That it's all fun and games. And
Mm,
I think there's definitely an attitude towards actors, especially people starting out. And I think that's valuable for people to hear, that, people kind of see actors as, oh, you want to be an actor, all right, you just want to go and have fun and
mm,
make a movie and you think you're special and all that kind of stuff. And they don't see the hours that go into what we do, the time spent away from our homes and our families, and it can be really, really draining and hard. I mean, on set days can sometimes be up to 15 hours, and
yeah.
sometimes you're working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. doing night shoots, and you miss out on life, because your cycle of living is the opposite to everyone else's. And I mean, last year, and the year before last year we were on strike. I spent 7 months out of the year traveling for jobs, and
Wow.
it's a lot of time to be away from a partner or family or friends. It's very lonely. So I think that people don't fully appreciate how much work goes into these things. And also, once you've done your 12-hour day on set, you're coming home and you're learning lines for the next day. So you're
Mhm.
running on not much sleep. It's very demanding physically, emotionally,
Yeah.
intellectually. It's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, at the end, we just see, the awards, things like that, and we tend to think like, oh, so for them, it's
Oh
always
man, I always think
it's
like if
always clever.
audiences just knew what went on behind the scenes, like how much chaos we go through to get a film or television episode made, you'd be amazed.
Yeah, yeah. And if you could give like one word to describe the feeling when you either step on stage or in front of the camera, which word would it be?
Electric.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I feel this like spark come up in me as soon as I hear the camera go silent because it's on record or the audience go quiet. I feel like someone's just like plugged me in.
Hmm. Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds scary, but exciting at the same time. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, that's me.
There you go. Okay. Now, if your life were a sitcom, what would be the title of it? But also, who would play the fictional version of yourself?
It would be called, I've got two options. It would either be called Get in the Car,
Okay.
because everyone says that they never know where the day's going to end up when they get in the car with me, or Classic Ella, because I attract a lot of weird situations.
Hmm.
Um, and I think who would play me? Uh, Ricky Gervais. I don't know.
Okay.
No, maybe Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll see that happening.
yeah.
Sounds fun.
Bit of
Sounds.
Fleabag vibes. She's funny,
Mm-hmm.
she's weird.
Okay. Okay. And let's say that they're gonna make a film. But here's the thing, which goes basically all of the characters you have played at the moment, all of them since day one, they're
Yeah.
all gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. But we need a title. So what do you think that would be the best title for this film?
Why is everyone crying?
Okay, I like it. Sounds like a dark comedy here.
Yeah. Yeah, all my characters, I always get the sad ones. I'm a good crier, apparently.
There you go. That would be
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, I picture this. So all of your characters crying, and you in the middle just eating cake,
That's exactly how it would go down.
and
Yeah.
be like, what is going on here? Why is
Yeah.
everyone crying?
Yeah. Be like, oh, well, more cake for me.
What else can I ask, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And if you could describe, yeah, like how could you describe your career? But you know what? This time on a drink. Like, which drink would you say that fits perfectly in your whole acting career?
Okay, I'm gonna go with Jameson on the rocks with lime, because
Okay.
not top shelf whiskey yet, but it's one that everyone enjoys,
Mm,
and lime gives it a little extra flavor. So, and it gets you drunk quick.
there
So,
you go. And how would you call it? So let's say that I go to a bar and I want to ask and I want to order that drink. So what do you think that would be the perfect name for that drink?
oh gosh. Oh, that's a hard one. Let's go with let's call it the cannon.
The cannon?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I might have a cannon later on.
You should. You absolutely should.
Sounds like a plan.
I
I'll
might
tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Once we finish this, I'll go to the store and buy a whole bottle of Jameson and be like, okay, now I got this.
too. Perfect.
There you go. I like it. I like it. And tell me, like, what motivates you? We all have those days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us, regardless in what we do. So how you maintain yourself positive in a moment that perhaps you feel you're having like those thoughts haunting you?
That's a hard one, I've definitely had times where I've really wanted to throw in the towel and walk away. I think
Mm,
all actors, if they're honest, will tell you the same thing. Um, and it's funny how the world just has a way of just giving you a little something when,
mm,
when you get to that point. I've often booked jobs, when I've been days away from just wanting to pack up and go home. Um, but you can't always rely on that, of course. So no, I think what keeps me going is you have to make sure that you are loving your life outside of jobs,
mm.
because our world can, and our self-worth can revolve around jobs coming in
Yeah.
so easily. And that's a dangerous place to be in, because if you go for stretches without jobs, as most actors do, then you start to question, well, am I a good actor? Should I even be
Mm-hmm.
doing this? What am I doing with my life? And that's why it's really important that you fill it with other things that you love. And whether that's productive things like writing or directing, or finding other ways to stay busy where you have a bit more control over what you're doing, or if it's hobbies or friendships or partners, whatever, but you've just got to fill your life up with other things that you love, so that you're not putting all the onus on working.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes you end up working more when your focus is elsewhere, because you're not showing up to auditions really needing the job. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they can smell that on you. So when you come in and you feel free to do your art and leave, they're all kind of like, oh, she doesn't need us. Why? It's almost like dating,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They want what they can't have.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just fill your life up. It's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like something that works for me, for example, it's take a nap.
Taking a nap also helps. That passes time. If you're sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
you can't be sad.
Yeah, yeah. Like whenever that happens to me, I just be like, "Oh, okay, so it's one of those days." So I will just take a nap.
Or you have a cannon.
I tell you what, have a couple of cans and then go to sleep.
And then have a nap. Perfect day.
Yeah, and then you wake up with a little bit of hangover going on, but you'll be like, "Okay, where was I?" You know.
Yeah, you can't remember why you're sad anymore. It's perfect.
That's true. So I tell you what, let's just if someone who listen to this or watching this is gonna do this, first of all, throw your phone away. Turn it off, throw it away, and then do that. You know.
Yep, agreed.
There you go. I'll take that. And my last question, so we can all relax and enjoy after a couple of, difficult ones here and there. What do you think that would be the best title for this episode?
Okay, let's stick to a theme here. Cannon fodder.
Hmm. Okay. I'll see that happening.
That's what I think. That's my contribution.
Okay. All right. So it's the canon. And what was the other thing?
Fodder.
Gotcha.
Cannon fodder.
That sounds like a title to me. Sounds like a
Yeah,
franchise already.
I think so.
There you
Might be the
go.
name of my next movie.
Who knows? I mean, perhaps we are just killing it here, and we are already giving the next title for the next big epic film.
We have a few cannons in us. I might have the script written in a few hours.
Sounds like a plan already. Let's make it
Yeah,
happen.
let's go.
I love it. I love it. I mean, at the end, what can I say? Like the fact that you are like pursuing something that makes you happy, like that is your passion, and that we all know that. I mean, we all know that pursuing your passion, it tends to be like a huge pain in the butt sometimes.
Yeah.
But you're making it happen. You're showing results, but most important, you're showing people out there that everything is possible. And I think that is super important, especially right now in this kind of world in which we're living in right now. That people somehow it's angrier and it's kind of a little bit crazy place but like right now, but the fact that if we can rely on someone like you who is showing us that everything is possible, that is actually that you can truly follow something that makes you happy. I think that is really cool, and I think more people should focus on that, instead of the what if not, or like instead of the what if, just go out there and do it, basically.
That really means a lot to me to hear. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also want to thank those who tune in here. As I said in the beginning, thank you so much. Now, since we just discovered how Ella is super badass. I mean, now we found out why she's super badass. Let's follow her and let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Ella, because she's incredible. And again, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep killing it out there. Keep rocking. And I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Absolutely.